Hello out there, Caniac Nation. Thanks for joining us for session 60 of CaniacSessions. I'm Griff.
And I'm AB.
AB, I can't hear you, buddy.
Can you hear me? Hold on.
While we wait for AB to figure out his settings. Can you hear me, AB?
I can hear you.
All right. I don't have you. Maybe it's my
testing.
Maybe it's my settings. Can somebody let us know in the chat if you guys can hear AB?
I'm trying to see. Can you hear me now? Yes, no, maybe. No.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Let me check my settings here.
All right, hold on.
I got you now. We're good. It was my fault. Anyway. All right.
Bit.
I got you now. So we're going to get going here. Session 60 of CaniacSessions. I'm Griff. That's AB. And we are going to get into some good stuff tonight. We've got some news to cover. We've got some games to recap. We've got some players to talk about. We've got some drama going on between the AHL affiliate and the big club. And we've got a road trip coming up. So lot of things to get to here. But before we get going here, I do want to announce that Eric Holla is now 0-1 in the Lenovo Center.
1-17 for career for both arenas.
That's a great stat. Anyways, first things first, we're brought to you by DraftKings and Game Time. As a member of THPN, that's the Hockey Podcast Network. If you haven't checked out THPN by now, you should. It's a great network. We enjoy it. They do a lot of good stuff all across the hockey landscape. So check that out. And yeah, AB, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. As you can see, there is no more closet. I have decorated my new place with the rally towels, and there may be a little bit of an echo, but thing from the News and Observer when we won the Stanley Cup in 2006.
All right.
Aho. And when this was known as PNC Arena. Right there.
I like it.
Nice. So, new upgrades.
Awesome. Well, yeah, everybody, all listeners out there, viewers, if you're watching this live or if you are listening to this after the fact, either by, video on YouTube or on your favorite podcast platform, wherever you get your podcasts, we appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening. We have really taken off here this off season with as far as viewers and listeners, mainly listeners. I think a lot of you guys listen via the podcast form, which is fine. But we've really taken off this off season and we really appreciate it. So we thank you for your support. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, rate us, review us, tell your friends, all that good stuff so we can continue to grow and put out a better product. So let's get going, AB.
Let's do it.
Couple news items today. And one of them really unexpected. I didn't see this coming, but 2:00 at the waiver deadline today, we found out that Brendan Lemieux was placed on waivers. I didn't really expect that. I thought that he was going to ride as the 13th forward, maybe come in, draw into the lineup when he, recovers from his lower body injury or whatever is going on with him lately. But we did see him come out on waivers today. Joakim Ryan was placed on waivers yesterday. He cleared and was assigned to Chicago today. So he will join Chicago moving forward there. What do you make of this Brendan Lemieux situation? I mean, is this do you think this is a cap space move? Is it, do you think that, maybe they're going to send him down and bring somebody else up as a 13th forward? Or what are your thoughts? What are your initial thoughts?
So I texted you about saying that Riley Stillman was may stay on the roster after
Yeah.
IR. I don't know. And maybe it's a paper move for the Canes to get their cap up from $3 to $1 million or something like that. I don't know. I guess they want to carry an extra forward for the road trip.
You mean a
I don't
defenseman?
think defenseman, but also if Stillman is, healthy and we send him down, there's a possibility maybe that Felix Ungersorum could come up. We talked about that, or Tyson Yost. But right now, it looks like they're going to carry a seventh defenseman. And I kind of understand with Lemieux, his injury. We don't know the timeline. So it's a bit of a confusing situation because if he was healthy, he probably would have started opening night and been in the place of Jackson Blake. So I don't know if there's something else going on there or if Stillman's going to be the extra player. So there's a lot to juggle with this move. And again, we won't know until he clears. So.
Yeah, I'm assuming he'll clear. You never know, but I don't know. I think I don't know. I think Jackson Blake was going to be in that spot opening night, regardless of Brendan Lemieux's health. I just think that the coach wanted it to happen. I don't know. I don't know if Jackson Blake's making the roster was because of Lemieux's injury. It could have been. But I tend to lean toward the fact that, like, I think that was Jackson Blake's spot. And we'll get into this here in a minute, but I think after last night, the Devils game, I think he's solidified. And it's his spot to lose now. But,
for sure.
I was thinking about this Brendan Lemieux situation, and I think that, today before Lemieux went on waivers, well, it's still now until he clears, I think the Canes have about $725,000 of cap space after, Jackson Blake came up, and then that last round of assignments to Chicago, I think they were sitting at about $725,000, which is not even enough for a league minimum player.
Yeah.
Right. So if they would have had to bring somebody back up, they wouldn't be able to in the current state, unless they were to move around some money or whatever, or some cap. But, so with the, tomorrow, once Lemieux comes off the cap, they'll be at about 1.5 million.
And maybe there's a trade coming.
Well, I don't know.
Most likely not, but stir the pot a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know about a trade. I just, here's what I think. Here's my take on it. I think that the team may roll with a 20-player roster on this road trip. I mean, maybe they'll add it. Maybe Stillman will be healthy and he'll tag along as the seventh defenseman, or maybe they'll just roll with 20. Basically to maximize their deadline cap space, right? So they'll accrue cap space as the season goes on based upon, how much money they have under the cap. So could that be something, that's driving this? The thing about putting Lemieux on waivers is it kind of makes sense, like, if you think about it, because he's kind of like the last one of those fringe players, right? Those guys that are, it could be your fourth line, could be down in Chicago. He's like the last guy that needed to go through waivers in order to be able to move freely between the NHL and the AHL. So if he clears, you can send him down and bring him back up if you need to. And, they can do it without him having to clear waivers again, unless, I think it's a 10-game cap. So if you bring a player back from the AHL, they can play 10 games before they have to pass through waivers again to send them back down. And that's also, I think it's 10 games or 30 consecutive days on the roster before they have to clear waivers.
Is it a one-way contract or two-way? Does it apply to both?
Well, it's just when you take a player and you put them through waivers, right? They've cleared waivers for reassignment and you assign them to the AHL. They can move freely back and forth between AHL and NHL until they either play 10 games or are on the NHL roster for 30 consecutive days.
If one of those talking about like a rookie, like Bradley Nadeau, if he were to come up.
No. A two-way contract, like an entry-level rookie deal, whatever. They're not. They're waiver exempt. They don't have to pass through waivers.
It's just a one-way, like Yost and Lemieux.
It's a certain age or a certain, I don't know what the measuring stick is as far as that, but a player that is not waiver exempt, like Lemieux, like Yost, like Robinson, those guys have to clear waivers. So even if they ride with 20 players, I think they'd be fine because you could still bring somebody up on an emergency basis, and assuming it's unless it's like a long-term injury, which then it wouldn't matter because they're going to be there long-term. But if it's a short-term movement for emergency purposes, then that 30-day rule doesn't apply. So that's the difference between a call-up and an emergency call-up, is that 30-day roster rule, right? The 10 games still apply. So if you bring a player up from the AHL and they play 10 games, if you want to send them back to Chicago and they're not one of the rookies or an entry-level deal or whatever, then they have to pass through waivers again to go back. Because you remember last year, Ronta went through waivers twice.
Yes.
Remember? So that's the situation there. So that's kind of my thoughts. Like, I think that's what they're doing. I think they strategically spaced these players out to put them through waivers to minimize the risk of somebody claiming them. And now it sets them up to accrue cap space toward the deadline and also have freedom of movement between the AHL and the NHL should they need one of these guys. So that's my take. What do you think?
No, like I said earlier, again, if I saw this, if Lemieux was healthy and let's say somebody got injured, like short term, and you had to call up somebody, we would be over the cap space, especially if it was AHL minimum, which is $775, I believe. So it's a paper move, obviously, and it seems like Blake. Why am I watching this on my phone when I am actually right here? My apologies. Yeah, I just think Blake is going to be here long term. And again, I forgot to add is Robinson is on a 1-year, $1 million contract. So with Lemieux, he's less than $1 million. So I mean, that makes a little bit more sense why he's being sent down. But yeah, you wonder if they're going to ride with 20 forwards, not 20 forwards, 20 players, and Stillman's still on the IR. So we'll see what happens.
That's what it looks like at the time being, but we'll see how that develops over the next. We'll see it tomorrow at 2:00 if he clears, which I'm sure he will. But all right, well, we got BTS Not the Band with us. He says, "Yellow, what's up, dude? Glad you're joining us tonight." And got a few others out there. Feel free to interact in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. If you disagree with us, which is fine, let us know. Give us your takes and we'll discuss it. But, AB, we're off into the regular season.
Yes.
We are 2 games into it. Some other teams are more games into it, which drives me nuts.
Devils.
Yeah, like,
I think they played 6 games. Well, they had those first 2 games.
Well, right. Last night was their 6th game against us.
Yeah.
But right, they played Buffalo in Prague. But I mean, that's, to me, that creates kind of a disadvantage for the team that's only played 2, and especially, obviously when they made the schedule, they didn't know that our game this past Saturday in Tampa would be postponed due to the hurricane. But, here we are coming in off of one game, sitting for 3 days, and then have to play a Jersey team that has, they've been playing.
Yeah, 6 games. The
Yeah.
only team that has the same amount of games as we do is Washington.
Yeah.
Everybody else has over 3 games.
Yeah, I don't really like that. I don't like how they, and again, I understand that we had a game postponed, but still last night would have been our 3rd game, and it would have been Jersey's 6th. I don't like that. Like, let's play these games. Like, figure it out. There shouldn't be 3-4 game differentials, like, even throughout the season, because for a couple things, you're looking at, one team has an advantage, especially this early in the season. Like, the Devils have had a few games to kind of work their systems, and we hadn't. And even if we would have played Saturday in Tampa, it was still 6-3, on games played. It would have
But
been.
they're still spacing, and I don't understand why a lot of the other teams that are, in the same amount of talent as we did, like first, second round, the teams that weren't in Prague started Tuesday, and then we're all the way up to Friday, and
Right.
then we have a back-to-back that was supposed to be in Tampa,
Right.
and then we have 2 other days off. I understand resting players and, fitting the schedule and everything like that, money wise, or, TV slot times. But, you can't have a team playing 6 games when you're playing your 2nd or
Yeah.
they're playing their 3rd, which is
Right.
not fair come to playoff time.
Yeah. I don't, it's whatever. But if you remember, I remember last season, Edmonton I feel like they were lagging behind the kind of the rhythm of the season all year. I feel like there was a point in time last year when, like, Edmonton was like 5 or 6 games less, played than anybody in their conference. And I remember thinking, like, man, they've got 6 games in hand on, that, and everybody's talking about the standings. And I'm like, well, you don't know what Edmonton's going to do in those 6 games. So I don't know. I just don't like how they do that. It kind of bothers me. But
Yeah,
luckily we were able to take care of business last night. But looking across the NHL at the start of the season, there's some teams that are, surprising, even this early, that are off to real good starts. And man, and then there's some teams that you just thought that would really come out strong that really haven't. And if you look at some of these teams that are off to good starts, I mean, if you look at Tampa took care of us on opening night away, dealing with a natural disaster in their hometowns, not knowing what's going on, took care of business there. And then they just beat Vancouver last night, who is still a solid team. So Tampa's off to a 2-0 start. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Dallas is 4-0 right now.
Yep.
They look like a wagon, as expected, to be honest.
My pick for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
FYI.
Winnipeg is off to a 3-0 start. And again, this is, it's not really, I don't expect them to continue winning at that pace. I'm just saying, surprising. I didn't really expect Winnipeg to get going at 3-0 to start the season. But I'll tell you who looks good this year, that I kind of thought would is Utah.
Yeah.
Their years of rebuilding down in Arizona are starting to pay off. All those draft picks that they had and these trades that they made, you can see it, coming to fruition. They're off to a 3-1 start. They beat the Rangers in MSG last night. And their only loss is to New Jersey,
Well, you have Clayton Keller and Sergachev. That trade was a brilliant move. Again, the goaltending is up in the air, but Connor Ingram has really stepped up. But this next one, I didn't expect it, and I am sure you didn't. The Calgary Flames are 4-0.
Yeah. And and they're not
like what?
And the teams they beat aren't chumps either. Vancouver, Philadelphia, Edmonton, and Chicago. Yes, Chicago's down, but they're better than they were last year. Philly is, Torts is still the coach. Yeah. And, Vancouver and Edmonton are nothing to blink at either. However, Edmonton is off to a rough start, and I've got a list of teams here that have kind of surprised me to kind of that they're looking so bad. So, I mean, I wouldn't say bad, but one of these I would. But Nashville's off to an 0-3 start, and I think that's kind of because there's so many new guys, a lot of veterans that are kind of set in their ways that are trying to figure it out. I mean, if you think of Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea,
He's like their worst player statistically.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're trying to figure out how to play,
all those guys. Yeah,
but I do have a feeling that when it clicks, it's going to click, and they're going to be off and running. But
with Edmonton too, like I think this is their first 0-3 start since the 80s. But
they finally won last night.
Yeah, well, let's not forget Edmonton went on a huge losing streak last year, fired their coach, and then they almost won the Stanley Cup. So you can't count them out.
No, you can't count anybody out. It's super early.
Just not an ideal start for Edmonton.
No. And I tell you, this next team is a train wreck, and this is because their goaltending is awful. But Colorado is off to an 0-3 start, and Georgiev has been a train wreck.
I have him on my fantasy team.
Oh man, it's poor guy, man. It's so bad. The team as a whole in 3 games have given up 20 goals.
Yeah, that's
in 3 games, 8 to Vegas, 6 to Columbus, and another 6 to the Islanders. Georgiev let in his first 25 shots against between 2 games. And in those 2 games, he was pulled early in both. 8 goals in the first 25 shots faced.
I will say they're missing Devon Taves, who's one of their key parts of their defense.
Okay.
And then they traded Byram this year, and he's in Buffalo now. But it kind of makes you wonder. I mean, you were sitting behind Shesterkin, and last year you were phenomenal. But I don't know. Like, I am really close to dropping him in fantasy. Like, I can't. I think he went 11 for 16 in the Vegas game.
Yeah, like it's bad, man.
Against your starter, it's pretty bad. And you have all that talent.
I don't care.
They're also missing, Nikushkin and Landeskog and
Nichushkin.
Yeah. So they're missing a couple of guys.
I don't care who you're missing. Like 8 goals and 25 shots. Dude,
Scott Darling numbers.
That's bad, man. I don't care who. I don't care if you've got like. I don't care if you've got a team full of rookies in front of you. Like, you got to be better than that, man.
Yeah,
that's just bad. That's
true.
So yeah, Colorado, they're gonna have to figure something out. If Georgiev can't do better than that, they're gonna have to. And the guy they got behind him he's either like a rookie or like first year in the NHL, I believe. I don't even think he's not great either. So
just trouble.
Yeah, trouble in Denver for sure. However, shifting to Carolina, 2 games played, 1-1, or should I say 1-1-0. Obviously a loss to Tampa Bay on Friday night in the home opener, and then last night took care of business against Jersey. Good game. Canes hockey. I enjoyed it. Start to finish. Got a little kind of tense there in the third period, but weathered the storm, figured it out, took it to the house. So the Tampa game, I mean, this was the tale of two teams, man. Like the Tampa game, they were flat. That just nobody really played well except, that wasn't named Jordan or William. And then they, figured it out, came out. Yeah.
Just plain and simple.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But, last night against the Devils, Kane style hockey, I thought they dominated really, long offensive possessions. The stats and the some of the metrics kind of show that the game was a little bit closer than it, you would think by watching it. Because the Devils got their chances.
Right.
It's just, they got a chance and then immediately the puck was going the other way. So, but we'll dive into that game in just a minute and dissect that. But before we do, we are going to take a break and hear from our first sponsor. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 24-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you're new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice. Copyright NHL 2024. All rights reserved. All right, we're back.
We're back and better than ever.
I don't know, AB. I don't know if I'm
well,
better.
Especially after last night, I think we're better than ever.
The team.
Yes.
Not me personally.
Oh, boy.
I'm not as good as I once was.
That happens.
But I'm as good once as I ever was. Toby
All
Keith.
Right. Okay.
No, you don't know Toby Keith?
Oh, of course I do. Rest in peace to a legend.
You don't know that song?
I know a couple of them.
I once was. No?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll just stick to hockey. All right, let's go through this Tampa game. Friday night, 4-1 loss at the Lenny, the LC, the Lenovo Center, whatever we're calling it these days.
Yep.
Walk us through that game, AB. What, I was not there. I didn't get to watch it live. My son plays high school football, and it was Friday night, so that's what I was doing. And I was following along on the app, like the little, you can follow, just see like the score and what's happening, play by play or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I already knew the result by the time I got to watch it, so I didn't really pay attention much because we lost. So walk us through that game. Give us your thoughts. I'm interested to hear, kind of what you saw.
So obviously the Stahl line was the best line all night, and the rest of the team was out of sorts, and I'll get to that. Blue line was decent, played well, most part, 5-on-5. Go stood out to me a lot. Stahl scored the only goal for Carolina off of a nice little wraparound pass from Carrier. And then Braden Point came out right after and scored on the power play almost immediately in the second period. And the second half of the third period was just all Tampa. Kucherov had a hat trick. The last goal was an empty net. And, he had one power play goal and two empty net goals to close out the night. And they won 4-1, and we took 6 penalties. But only received 4, and so 2 of those 4 were negated, a full 2-minute power play each time. So we only got 2 legit power play opportunities, and all 6 of Tampa's were full power plays. Just looking at everything, it looked hot to start. I mean, we were really good, and just Jarvis, Svechnikov, Aho, Natchez, Kokaniemi, Roslovic, everybody was out of sorts.
Yeah.
And so was our defense. Like, nobody could get it going. And it was one of those things where you hope they get it together the next period. And then you have the goal from Stahl, and you're like, okay, let's build off of that. And nothing. So Gossespierre, Carrier, Martin Nook, and Stahl were really the only guys that stood out for me. Freddie had a hard night. But it just looked like we were a chicken with our head cut off. We just couldn't do anything, and Tampa was ready. And yeah, it's just one of those games where if you were to play it again, it'd probably be closer. But again, Tampa is so strong, and Kucherov just demolished our team.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of rewatched it a little bit. I didn't think it. Yeah, I thought we were flat, but I thought that game was closer than, 2 empty nets on the end. I don't know if I would say that, they drug us through the dirt or anything. I mean, I think it was closer than it seemed. I thought the defense played well. I thought the blue line was fine. It's just we couldn't score. The forward group was a mess, other than Stahl line. And and I don't know if I don't put that on Freddie. 2 goals, like you give up 2 goals, like, okay, that's fine. The Kucherov goal he probably should have had, or he could have had. But then again, it's Nikita Kucherov. I mean, that's a heck of a shot. So, I don't want to, a lot of people are bashing Freddie. And I look, if your team's not scoring, you can't blame the goaltender. Now, if it's 8-6 and you got Georgiev back there looking like freaking Swiss cheese, then okay, blame your goaltender. Colorado put up 6 goals and lost.
Yeah.
But if your team's only scoring 1 goal, it's hard to put it on the goalie, and I don't like to do that.
Well, they just didn't feel confident from body language that I saw, especially from Freddie. They just didn't look confident and ready to go.
Yeah, well, but I think an important thing to take out of this, or I don't think it's important to take out, but what am I trying to say here? Something to look at in this game, and it's kind of a trend here in Carolina, or at least I think it is just the differential in penalties called. I mean, yes, are some of them legit? Most of them legit, yes. But Carolina took 6 penalties, and at least 2 of them were weak calls in that game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then it's like, we had 4 power plays, quote unquote, 4 power plays. 2 of them were negated due to penalties after, during the power play. So we only got 2 full power plays. Like, that is maddening. And then Tampa gets all 6 of theirs. So, like, and they score on 1 of them. Or no, two of them. Point scored on the power play, and then Kucherov. So, I mean, and I just feel like I've always felt like Tampa always gets the benefit of the doubt. And I'm not trying to blame officiating. Like, I get it, whatever. But it's just maddening when you've got a team like Tampa get 6 power plays, and then you basically get 2.
Yeah.
And then, the same thing happened last night in the Devils game. I mean, we got 1 power play, and it was awful. And then New Jersey got 2, and then 1 of them was extended for a 5-on-3.
Yep. And then they scored on 1.
Yeah. So it's just like, that, like in the Tampa game, that Jarvis slash that they called to negate one of our power plays.
Terrible.
That was not a slash. And and then the Orlov hold at the end, the last penalty, I don't think that was a penalty either. But whatever. And then we'll get to last night's. But anyway, flush that game, move on. It is what it is. The Saturday game in Tampa was obviously postponed. And then we would return to the Lenovo Center last night, Tuesday night, 15th of October. Different team on the ice, AB.
That's right.
4-2 win.
100%.
Yeah, 4-2 win. From the jump, I felt like Carolina had the Devils on their heels. They dominated the first period. The ice was tilted, or at least so it felt, most of the periods. We had sustained offensive zone possessions. Jersey still got their chances, but I thought that, like I said, New Jersey would kind of try to come in. We did a good job of like clogging up the neutral zone, and when they did get into their zone, they get their chances. I thought that we did a good job of zone exit. Right? We did not let Jersey spend a lot of time in our zone. And that, for the most of the first period. So I thought it was, I thought it felt dominant. However, the score in true Canes fashion would be 0-0 at the end of the period. So, I kind of felt, I remember thinking at the end of the first period, like, man, we should have had at least a goal, maybe two. Plenty of high danger chances in that period, and come away with nothing. How many times have we said that?
A million. But yeah. Marsham played really well. I will say
he did. He really did. He looked at the top of his game for the most of the night. Anyway, we come back out in the second, and lo and behold, Jack Hughes would score the first goal right out the gate in the second period. I think it was like 2.5 minutes into the second period. He did a really good job. I mean, he's Jack Hughes. He's elite offensively. He kind of skated to an area. Kochetkov might have been screened. I think it was Aho that was standing there. Maybe he was screened, maybe he wasn't, but the puck got through. He kind of toe dragged it a little bit, and then shot. Puck goes through 5-hole, right? Yeah. I think Tripp on the broadcast after, watching the replay, you could hear Tripp talking about, maybe Kochetkov was anticipating a pass. I think it was Jesper Bratt.
He was on the right side.
Yeah, so it's like maybe Kochetkov was anticipating a pass from Hughes to Bratt, so he was kind of maybe cheating that way. Anyway, whatever it was, you got to save that goal. That close your 5-hole. It kind of like his stick was down, but it just kind of went like above his stick. But if he would have been low, he would have saved that puck.
Yeah, he just didn't close it in time.
No.
And I think his stick was low, but again, it's one of those things, your stick can only do so much.
That's true. However, he would make up for it because he made plenty of great saves throughout the rest of the night. And he finished on the positive side of his goals saved above expected. So I think let's see, I had it written down here. What was the expected goals in the night? I think it was 2.74 was the expected goals for the Devils last night, and they scored 2. So technically he was above that.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I found interesting is I was kind of going through Natural Stat Trick today, and on there, Natural Stat Trick listed 7 high danger scoring chances for the Devils. Kochetkov saved all 7 of those. The one that Hughes scored was listed as a moderate danger scoring chance.
Yeah, I guess because it was a little bit further from that part where it's high danger, or a save that's high danger.
Right. So he probably should have had that save. However, he saved all 7 of the high danger scoring chances for the Devils. That made up for it. It's a wash to me. And so yeah, I thought Kochetkov had a good night. In whole. So about midway through the second, keep going. It's 1-0 here. Seth Jarvis would tie it back up. Nice shot. Svechnikov forechecking behind the net, steals the puck from Dougie. Sets up Jarvis. He kind of mishandles it, to begin with. Then he kind of does this little spin around and then rockets it right glove side, right over Markstrom's glove in the back of the net. Beautiful shot. Make it 1-1. And then the second period's winding down. We get to about 30 seconds before the end. And then also KK's behind the net forechecking, makes something happen. Gets the puck to Natchez, who then gets the puck to Shane Gossesbear. He has a screen set up in front of Markstrom, rockets the shot, hits the back of the net, 2-1 Canes. Beautiful
Spooky
shot.
season. Spooky.
That's right.
Spooky season, but Roslovic did a great job because he was behind the net and he came right towards the middle of the crease, and Ghost had already shot it, but that distracted Markstrom. So that was a good play by a new guy to take the lead for us.
Absolutely. So yeah, again, that goal made possible by the forecheck, right? Then we'd come back to start the third, up 2-1, and then Jackson Blake would get his first NHL career goal on a tip off of a rocket from Orlov. Just a great play by Blake. I mean, just to have the whatever it is,
wherewithal.
Yeah, just the thought to break toward the middle of the net. You know, when Orlov had that puck, and get the tip right over Markstrom's glove. 3-1 Canes.
That reminded me a little bit of Nason, and for a guy that's that young to get in front of a puck that's easy going. I mean, that was impressive, especially his speed going right to the front of the net when he was on the left side. So,
yeah,
very solid, and that's a heck of a goal to score, especially in a crucial point in the game.
Absolutely. I want to talk more about Jackson Blake in just a minute once we get through this game here. But anyway, yeah, 3-1 Canes. Then things started getting stupid. You know, refs made a horrible call on Jackson Blake. And I kind of like it sucked because he just scored the goal and then he got called for a trip that wasn't a trip. It definitely wasn't a trip, right? If anything, it was a hold. But what I really think it was a nothing.
There were a couple flops at the end of the game that were.
So anyway, the refs called it. New Jersey would go on the power play, and then Martinook flips the puck just inside the blue line, over the glass, dog pog penalty, delay a game, puck over the glass, and that puts New Jersey up 2 men for a 5-on-3 power play, and it was like a minute 15 worth of 5-on-3 that they had. Carolina looked good early in that 5-on-3, like a couple block shots, a couple clears, but eventually the Devils would score on a 5-on-3. I figured they would. They're so offensively gifted. How could they not? But they did. And then, you know what was funny though, if you're watching the bench or if you watch the highlights after, Rod was giving it to those refs.
I need to watch it.
He wasn't yelling at him for the initial call on Jackson Blake.
It was the one after.
It was the Martinook penalty, and you could read his lips, like if you watch the replay, and some people tweeted about this.
You can fill in blanks.
Yeah, he was yelling, "See what happens when you make a bad call. See what happens when you make a bad call." Like, just kept yelling at the refs. But look, New Jersey doesn't get that second goal if they don't get that 5-on-3. I firmly believe that.
That's true. Nico Hischier just had a nice opportunity.
Wide open net. I mean,
wide open. Well, not wide open, but Kochekov's shoulder was way down, and it was a huge target, and just hit it there. So, but don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So anyway, but Carolina would kill off the remaining bit of that power play after the 5-on-3 goal. And then Aho would hit an empty net with about 1:36 left on the clock to seal the win 4-2. Good finish. We got it taken care of. First win of the season in true Canes fashion. Win for the good guys.
That storm surge.
Oh,
that was pretty special.
It was. Brandon's got a comment in the chat here from the Warning Take. He said, we got so many calls against us, we got so many calls against us, against them in the playoffs, and they got away with murder. Facts.
You know what he tweeted underneath our live stream? He said, "Where's the closet?" And
Where is the
then
closet? Maybe he must have not been here
something.
early when you're.
I moved. You said ask questions.
Oh, Brandon.
Oh, Brandon.
Where you at in the chat? Are you? Anyway,
He's probably dealing with a dog.
Pops is with us. He says, "Hi guys, sorry I'm late."
No worries.
How about Jackson Blake? We're gonna get. You know what? Just in time, because we are getting ready to talk about Jackson Blake in our next segment.
Before you do that, I also wanted to point out something real quick.
Yeah. Sure.
When Jarvis scored the goal, he pointed up at the ceiling, and many people thought it was Gaudreau, but it was not. His grandmother had just passed away.
Yeah, I saw his Twitter story, or not Twitter, Instagram story today.
But a little side note is that the tribute that the Blue Jackets did with Gaudreau was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Yep. Excellent.
So just wanted to add that.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, they did 13 seconds off the game clock at the start of the game. Columbus skated out with the left wing position vacant, which would have been Johnny Gaudreau's spot.
Really special.
Columbus won the face-off, passed over to the wing. They let the puck stay there for 13 seconds.
But a cool thing was Sean Monahan scored the first goal, and he pointed immediately.
Yep.
Which is one of his really good friends. So
yeah, and I thought it was cool too. Both teams took warm-ups in Johnny Gaudreau jerseys.
Oh, I didn't know that the away team did it. That's really cool.
Well, it was their jerseys, but they all had number 13 and Gaudreau's name on the back.
Oh, okay. That's really cool.
Excellent.
Really cool.
Excellent. Yeah. But all right, well, let's take a quick break before we talk some Jackson Blake, and we're going to hear from our next sponsor, our newest sponsor at Game Time. We all know how exciting it is to watch hockey live, feeling the chill of the ice, hearing the slam against the boards, hearing the roar of the crowd, the goal horn, all that good stuff. And how could any of us forget how amazing Game 2 of the Islander series was last season when we came back and won from a 3-0 deficit? Amazing. All that was made possible for me by the Game Time app. But not so fast. Game Time is not only for hockey, not just sports. You can find concerts, shows, anything. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live or any concert even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I love the Game Time app. I use it myself personally. Something that really surprised me and what I really like about it is the lowest price guarantee. If you don't get the lowest price, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They also have all-in pricing, so you can toggle this feature on. It shows the upfront total cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Your seat views, you can get panoramic views from your seat in the app before you buy them. You can also get Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Let's talk some Jackson Blake, AB.
Let's do it.
So I was going through Natural Stat Trick earlier when I was, kind of analyzing these games. Okay. And something jumped out at me. I didn't even realize it until today. But Jackson Blake led both teams last night between us and the Devils in high danger scoring chances. He had 3.
Oh.
3 high danger scoring chances. One of them went. Amazing. The guy's third NHL game ever. So I don't really consider the Tampa Bay game an opening night. Like, I
Kind of a wash.
Right. Last night was his first, I felt like, real game as a rookie. Plus the whole, like we talked about, the whole forward group was bad except for the stall line in the Tampa game. But in this Jersey game, he was last on the team in time on ice, but he still had like 10 minutes and 7 seconds of ice time, which is, he had the lowest, but that's still good for a fourth line, up from his like 8 minutes against Tampa. In that time, that 10 minutes and 7 seconds, he was second on the team in shots with 3. The only player that had more shots was Gostisbehere, who had 6. Wow, 6. But he led all the forwards in shots, and of those 3 shots, they were all high danger chances. One of them went 33% shot percentage. What a game for Jackson Blake. AB, we're guilty, man. We did not have him on our radar. And it wasn't that I didn't think he could play here or that he wasn't good enough. It's just I thought the right side was like too crowded. I thought the left side was where we were going to see a rookie, not the right. But what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, we had Roslovic, who center, right winger. Now he's playing left, and you and I both thought Nadeau was going to be on the opening night roster. He didn't have a good preseason. I also thought Unger Sorum was going to be on the opening night roster. If a couple of people weren't on the team, he probably would have. But Jackson Blake, man, surprised me and surprised you.
Yeah.
But that guy has adapted after the wash game against Tampa to now. He knows his role. He knows he's not a top 6 forward right now. He's serving his purpose and he's executing. And especially with those high danger chances, I mean, that just goes to show you that he's not afraid and doesn't really have the anxiety of playing in the NHL, which is very good for a player that young, who was not a first round pick. So, he's impressed me a ton, and he definitely deserves a spot on this roster.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he had 3 high danger chances, I think that what that tells me is that he's got the brain to play. Like, that's what we talked about a couple sessions ago with Nadeau. Like, I don't think that, like, Nadeau's got this shot. He's got a ton of skill, but I don't think his brain
IQ.
or his IQ. I don't want to call it IQ. He's a smart player, but just the speed of the game, he is not able to process that quickly yet. Does that make sense? Like, he's got all the skill, but he can't get to the point where the skill could take over because he's still a step behind. If that makes sense, right? Blake is, I think, thinks the game fast enough, and obviously, I mean, he's if you get a high danger scoring chance, that means you're doing something right. You're in the right spot. You're open to receive a pass or whatever it is. So that tells me that he is his brain, his hockey sense is high enough to play at this level. And I mean, that is an elite. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been in the league. That is an elite tip off of Orlov's stick. That puck, that was a rocket. And to be able to get wood on that, or graphite, or whatever these sticks are made of nowadays, to get that on that puck and deflect it over, glove side and hit the net is elite.
But also a guy like Rod Brindamore to look at Jackson Blake and say, this guy knows what he's doing. That's a pretty big tip of the cap.
Absolutely. So I think he, it's only been 2 games, and I don't want to,
overstate 40-point season or something.
Right. I don't want to overstate that, but I think that's his spot, and it's his spot to lose. I think he's at least solidified that.
Right.
I don't think this is a trial period. I don't think this is a 9-game. Let's see what you got before we send you down. And I think this I think he's here. If he continues to play, you know, I mean, if he plays like he played last night, he'll be here for years and years. But you know, if he even if he doesn't meet last night's, you know, level, you know, I think he's solidified. That's his spot. It's his spot to lose. And you know, if he continues to play like that, he will earn Rod's trust and just find his way higher in the lineup. So, yeah, Jackson Blake. Wow, you love to see it. Fun to watch.
You love to see it.
You do, absolutely. All right, Pops wants to say, he says Coach Rod mentioned Blake was having a good preseason and was really showing something. Yeah, absolutely. That's why he made his way onto the opening night roster, and you know, now it's just on him to keep a hold of it. All right. Any last thoughts on Jackson Blake before we move on here, AB?
Nothing. Just keep doing what you're doing.
All right. So now we're going to talk about a little bit of drama, and we're not going to get too deep into this because we're going to save our main thoughts for for something we're going to do with the warning take and possibly Caniac report. We're going to come together and make fun of Don Levine and Chicago Wolves fans.
No, we're holding off on that.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, we're gonna talk about it here, but we're not gonna go in depth on this because I want to save that for Brandon and the warning take. But I'm gonna play this interview. So Don Levine is the owner of the Chicago Wolves, right? The Chicago Wolves, our AHL affiliate. He is the man responsible for the decision to take the Chicago Wolves independent last season and break the ties with Carolina. And then all these hit pieces came out from these various AHL reporters who really are just grasping at straws most times. But anyway, these pieces that kind of make it look like Carolina is doing the wrong thing. And, you know, Carolina and never came out and rebutted or really even got involved in the drama. And good on them because, like, we're not going to look, this is the NHL. We don't need to get involved with some little AHL drama crap.
Yeah, that's true.
But anyway, obviously last year didn't work out. The league got involved. It came out that there was meetings between Tom Dundon, who's the owner of the Canes, Gary Bettman, the deputy commissioner, you know, all these guys. And they basically, I think, you know, what it sounds like is they went to Chicago and were like, hey, look, you guys tried your little independent stunt. It didn't work out. You guys sucked last year. You know, you need to figure this out with the Canes. And they did. But there's still some bad blood. There is. And you can tell this owner who really doesn't need to be going on the record saying the crap that he said in this interview. You know, keep that behind closed doors, over the phone line, instead of spouting it off to the media. But I'm going to play this little interview here, and I want you to listen to him cry to this reporter about the Canes and the relationship.
Oh.
I'm going to play it on my phone. I don't have it clipped, so I'm going to play it on my phone and hold it up to the mic here. Listen. Here we go.
Waiting.
Achieved as a team. How tough was last year to watch in the situation that was presented to you? It was tough to watch. The year before was tough to watch. That's why I think it was more disturbing to me the prior year, the team that Carolina gave us. And it wasn't taken lightly to go independent. Right. It was horrible to what they did. And Wendell went out and he did a good job. And it's hard to get good players to play without an NHL team. Sure. So I expected it. I expected it to be better than it was. I mean, some of the players didn't produce, and I think they retired and didn't tell me. But it was bad. I mean, I'm concerned of this year. Right. I am. I just see that we've now got Billy Bean started the all the things being statistics and the analytics, but he never won a championship. Right. And here we got 3 general managers that never played a hockey game. And I'm used to having a general manager that's two Stanley Cups. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be taught a lesson. Maybe that's different. But I don't know that they can play this game with using statistics. Can you tell us so is Kamala?
Okay, so I don't know. Did you hear that? The next video was about Kamala for some reason. But so what does that sound like to you? That sounds like to me this guy screwed up and now he wants to try to talk his way out of it. Wants to still place the blame on Carolina. So he wants to win championships. He owns an AHL team and he doesn't want to develop players. He thinks that Carolina is not providing enough veterans to really win a championship. But you know what's funny about that, AB? The Carolina Hurricanes prospects have won 2 of the last 3 awarded Calder Cups. The Charlotte Checkers, 4 years ago?
Mm-hmm. And the
Chicago Wolves, or I guess it was 3 years ago. Then 2 years ago was the Wolves. Last year, I don't know who won it last year, but it wasn't the Wolves. And this guy is complaining about the product that he receives from Carolina. How? I don't understand.
All right, Grandpa. He's just trying to, and make as much money as he can. And we saw what happened last year. I mean, God, I don't know what the Wolves finished with. I think they were like one of the last.
It was bad.
The AHL. And
you're like,
bad. And you're like, oh, I want to, have veterans and win. And I'm like, dude, you have veterans in the AHL right now. And you're still talking crap about everything. But,
here's
if
the thing.
You want to go high and mighty, it's not going to work out for you. And nobody's going to want to do business with you.
Both things can exist. You can develop players and still win. We did it 2 years ago. They won the Calder Cup, right? They have a great roster.
Yeah.
We have one of the top prospect pools in the league. Top 10, at least.
Yeah, I would say.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're like, what's the problem, dude? Like, are you just embarrassed? Do you just not get along with Tom Dundon? You don't like... And then what's this thing about talking about the GMs never playing a game of hockey? I don't even...
Don Waddell played.
We just need to stop. We need to save this for the warning take.
Did he ever play?
I don't know.
Well, it doesn't even matter.
He's talking about analytics. He doesn't like the analytics, and the general managers with the Canes are analytical guys.
He needs to go to bed.
But you know what? That's a toxic leadership attitude, right? Your players are going to hear that.
David Tepper.
I mean, it's just awful. But we're going to save our real comments for the warning take. I just wanted to cover that quickly because it's so recent. And we got a comment from Ryan Fox. He says, can't watch too long. I just wanted to say thanks again for what y'all do. Canes look good last night. We'll listen to the rest of this on the pod. All right, Ryan, I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you,
dropping
Ryan.
a comment. All right, AB, we're almost done here, but we've got a road trip coming up.
We do.
Believe the team will fly out tomorrow to Pittsburgh and stay the night in Pittsburgh for their Friday game to open up this 6-game road trip spanning 12 days. This is the State Fair road trip. We've got Friday night on the 18th of October at Pittsburgh, 7 p.m. puck drop. Then they immediately get on a plane, fly to St. Louis for a 7 p.m. puck drop on Saturday the 19th. Then they head to Western Canada for a 9 p.m. puck drop on Tuesday the 22nd. So they get 2 days off between the St. Louis and Edmonton the St. Louis and Pittsburgh back to back. They get 2 days off before Edmonton. Then immediately after Edmonton, they head to Calgary to play the Flames on Thursday night, the 24th. That's also a 9 p.m. puck drop. A little bit of Canes After Dark coming up here. And then have a day off before taking on Seattle in Seattle on the 26th. That's a 10 p.m. puck drop. Then they head up to Vancouver for a Monday night game on the 28th, 10 p.m. puck drop. And then we finally get back home on Halloween, Thursday night against Boston in the Lenovo Center.
Spooky.
AB, spooky. AB, we said on our last session that we thought 14 of 20 points was a success for October. We lost 2 possible points due to Hurricane Milton, the Tampa game that got postponed. So now let's adjust that back a little bit. So we're going to say 18 points possible for the month of October. So we're going to take 2 off of that 14. We'll say 12.
Okay.
12 of 18 to me is a successful start to the season. We currently have 2 points.
That's right.
We have 14 points remaining that are up for grabs. What do you think? If you look at that schedule I just read off, what do you think where do we get those additional 10 points from these next 7 games?
Well, you have a good game against Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has always been really well. And the Pens Collective obviously will disagree with me. I think that's a win that you squeak by. St. Louis, I think that's a win that you get. Edmonton will be a little bit tricky because I think they'll start to find their game a little bit. I'm interested to see what Calgary does. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's a game that you could win or lose. Seattle, I think, is a game that you win. They've been off to not a very good start. And then Vancouver, I think that's a game where if the Canucks are on, they're on. So I like the chances of having 12 points, and maybe you can get a little bit above it. But I really think that Edmonton, Vancouver, and possibly Calgary will be trap games 50-50. So, if we get over 12 points, I'll be satisfied. If we get 12 points, I'll be fine with that too.
Yeah. We got 2 now. So we gotta get what, 12 more. No, I'm sorry. We gotta get 10 more to get to our mark. I personally, I was looking at this and I kind of thought, if they drop one of the back-to-backs Friday, Saturday, that's St. Louis game. That could be I think that's one you said could be a trap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the boys are going to go into PPG Paint Arena and give it all they got against Pittsburgh. It's a division matchup. I expect them to beat Pittsburgh. But then I look at that Saturday game. That's definitely one. That's a trap game. That's a possible loss. If I'm just picking 2 losses out of this schedule here, and then Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver, you should be able to take care of Calgary and Seattle and really Vancouver. So, I mean, maybe you drop Edmonton, maybe you drop Vancouver, or, but look, all these games are winnable.
Yeah.
Edmonton's off to a rough start. Do they figure it out before we arrive and, on the 22nd?
Probably.
Calgary's off to a hot start. I don't expect that to last. They'll fall off eventually. Vancouver, Shelovs is a question mark in net. Seattle's not that great. St. Louis not that great. I mean, you should be able to win all these. Even Boston. There should be no reason. Boston at home on Halloween, you should be able to take care of.
They
Boston.
haven't been playing well either. Boston has not.
But I'm not going to say that that Carolina's going to win all these games. Look, if Carolina shows up and played like they played the Devils last night, they could definitely win all these games. But let's be real. They'll drop a couple of them. But I could definitely see one of those back-to-backs and then, maybe a team in Canada somewhere. But look, I like this road trip. It's not too crazy. There's not a lot of time off in between. Like last year, we were sitting 2 days. I think we even had like a 3-day rest in there somewhere on the West Coast.
Mhm.
You know, they're playing, right? They head out like 18th, 19th, 22nd, 24th, 26th, 20, just every other day, right? So I like the rhythm. Get the guys a chance to get out on the road, away from everything, some time to gel, and you know, some of that team building stuff, all that good stuff we like to talk about. And yeah, we'll see what happens, but I think it'll be successful. I think we'll come back over 500, and we could definitely finish out the month 12 of 18 points.
I agree.
Another comment here from Pops. He says, I'd like you guys to see how the players who left are doing on their new teams a quarter into this season. Could you put that together maybe? Yeah, we could definitely do that at the quarter mark. That's kind of interesting. It might be fun. But I can tell you right now, Brett Pesce hadn't played a game. Steph Nason is leading the Devils in goals.
Gensel looks fine.
Yeah, he hadn't scored a goal, but he's got 3 assists.
And then Brady Shea is just...
Brady Shea scored a goal last night. But they lost. They lost. But look, and we can just talk about this real quick before we go. Shane Gostisbehere and Sean Walker have been excellent.
Perfect
so far.
pairing.
Like, I know it's only 2 games, but man, they have been good both games. Sean Walker was made for this system. So good. His defense has been good. He broke up a 2-on-1 last night, and I mean, great job. And then Gostisbehere, man, that shot. Oh my goodness. Look, I tweeted out Brady who when Ghost scored. Did you see that?
Oh, I did.
Yeah. So.
And then you said, "Just kidding, don't at me."
Yes, don't. I was waiting for. Don't say that. But yeah, we could do that. That would be fun. But you know, then again, and then Tara Vinan's fine in Chicago as well. He's going to be good playing with Bedard. I mean,
yep,
good for him. They still suck though.
Yeah, but it is what it is. He got a little payday.
He's making the same amount of money he was making here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw an interview. He thought he was gonna stay, but we wanted to go a different direction. So, it is what it is.
Megan Schoen. Sorry if I got that wrong.
Shoon.
I'm gonna go Schoen. Glad to have Ghost Bear back, and Walker is going to be a fan favorite for sure. Yeah, same. They're exceeding my, and I had high expectations, but they're even going above that.
Walker's a sneaky player.
Yeah, 2 games though. Let's. I'm trying not
to get too a little bit.
I'm not trying to get too excited, but yes, like. All right. Well, AB, that's all I got for tonight. Any last thoughts or anything?
Nothing. I'll take us out.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to CaniacSessions session 60. Crazy. But again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, comment, tell us what you want to see. Do you like it? Do you not like it? And if you do like it, or if you don't like it, click the notification bell so you don't miss anything that we put out on YouTube. You can find us at any podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Leave an honest review. We want you to tell us what is good about the podcast, what you think is wrong with the podcast, what can we do better on, so we can keep improving the podcast. You can follow us on social media, on X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, CaniacSessions. And if you want to keep up with Griff personally, you can keep up with him on X at M_Griff10. And if you want to keep up with me personally on X, you can follow me at AB Caniac Session. Thank you so much for listening and watching session 60, and we will see you in session 61.
Bye.